What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's spoiler discussion for another Marvel movie. Yes, we're talking Ant-Man and the Wasp. I don't know why it's the Wasp because she's like barely in the movie. But Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This is a once again spoiler discussion, so be aware. So we will get into every spoiler detail imaginable. So if you have not seen the movie, please go watch the movie before watching this review. All that good stuff. Okay, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is the 45,000th Marvel movie to release just this year alone. It's only February. We've gotten 35,645 million Marvel movies. I know, right? No, in all honesty, I think it's like their 30th or 35th movie or something like that. It's pretty impressive that they've been around. They're still good. Rob's checking. He's checking to make sure that's correct. He's my fact checker. As you can see, I have a square of people. You've seen these people, of course, in the Twilight Zone Fifth Dimension podcast I do, but I wanted to bring them on because I've been losing hope on Marvel, and I'm hoping some of these folks will kind of get me to the next movie or TV show, which I think is Guardians in May or whatever. I don't know what the next one is, but anyways, Guardians in May or some crap like that. But I think if I'm looking to my right or left, whatever, is Triv from Trivial Theater, who has, is the Ant Woman or Wasp of this episode.
The entire movie is summed up by what's in this shot.
Exactly. A couple ants, some red, and a box of popcorn.
Yep.
Of course,
Anthony, get out of my popcorn! God damn it!
Exactly. Below me, of course, are Jacob. he's down like in the corner there. Jacob from Jacob.
What?
Yeah, no. Right. But on the other side of me, of course, is Robert Dodrill there.
I decided to sit down for this.
You just cut that.
I know. I cut it all out because I'm gonna make like three actual views on this video, so I had to cut it all out. It's all gonna be 1 minute long. You know what? Let's leave it all in. Let's do it John Water style. Eating the poop and having sex with your relatives, all that kind of stuff. So, anyways, so thank you guys. What's that? Yeah, exactly. So thank you guys for coming on to talk about Ants, the newest DreamWorks animated film. Should be a lot of fun. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so we've all seen Marvel movies. We know Marvel movies. We know the MCU. At least one of us or most of us have seen most of them or all of the movies at this point. I'm just gonna have you seen one or two? Yeah.
This one.
This is the only one Rob's seen in his entire career of watching movies. But once again, this is the third Ant-Man movie. I would consider Ant-Man still a B-level tier character at this point, even after 3 movies. I like Paul Rudd. I think he's funny. I think he's hilarious. I like Evangeline Lilly just from Lost. I like, this has Michael Douglas, Kirk Douglas. It has unfortunately Corey Stoll.
Douglas, wow.
Kirk Douglas.
Did I say Kirk Douglas? Yeah, Kirk Douglas.
You said Michael Douglas, Kirk Douglas.
Yeah. Oh, Michael Douglas and what's her name?
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah, Kirk Douglas and Michael Douglas are a couple in this movie. So.
Oh.
No,
I mean, Hollywood has a way of making couples. I mean,
yeah, I mean, they can do it with the volume. It's pretty easy to bring back Kirk Douglas. With the quality work of AI intelligence. So, anyways, so with this film, just a real quick synopsis. It's basically the story of Scott Lang is written a book. He's very famous now, and because of the whole Avengers thing, and his daughter Hope. Or not his daughter, Cassie.
Apparently,
daughter.
Not to butt in or to butt in.
Yeah. No,
you can buy that book on Amazon. Apparently.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
It comes out in November. Yeah. I think it's gonna be
November.
Yeah, something like that. I think they're still writing it, but
I thought it was already out. I saw a thing.
No.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah, you're gonna be able to buy the book. It even says by Scott Lang, just like in the movie.
Oh,
right. And Paul Rudd's actually doing the audiobook for it. It's pretty great. I think they're timing it like maybe with like the DVD release or something like that. But anyway, so he's a writer. He's written a book. He gets confused as Iron Man when he goes to the coffee shop, but he gets free coffee. And then in the process, his daughter is an activist. She's going to jail all the time, but she in the process with what's his face, Hank Pym and Hope Van Dyne. Yeah, they've created a way to talk to the quantum realm, which pisses off, of course, what's her face. I have to keep looking to IMDb because I can't remember their names. Yeah, Catwoman. They keep pissing off Catwoman. Anyways, something sucks them into the quantum realm. They find themselves in a very vomit-like inducing quantum realm with a bunch of volume. And if you don't know the volume, it's like what they use in the Mandalorian. And
Very Guardians of the Galaxy.
yeah, and we're introduced to what the apparently is a realm. I mean, Rob, I know you probably know a lot more than most of us, and Jacob maybe as well, about the quantum realm and stuff like that. I'm assuming that it's a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so they wouldn't bring it up. But it just seems kind of ironic that you'd never hear about this new world until this movie.
Because you never went deep enough.
That's what she said.
That's
Never
what she, it
tried
is
to
what she
Past
said.
the void.
He said, "Yeah, I never. How did we not ever know any of this was down here?" She said, "You never went deep enough." I was like,
Yeah.
You didn't ask.
There's also quite a lot of talk of holes.
Exactly. This
Never
movie is
deep
very
enough to
sexual
hole.
in nature, isn't it? Holes and
Well, you're talking the
Deep enough.
quantum melt realm. It gets sexy down deep.
yeah, a lot of
Sexy
colors
damn
and broccoli but in the process they get split apart because of everything that happens. They get sucked down there, and this is when we come in contact with the second time of Kang the Conqueror, played by Jonathan Majors, who is trying to escape the quantum realm. Spoiler, like I said, trying to escape the quantum realm for reasons, and we learn that he may not be as good as he claims to be, and that's kind of the thrust of this movie. And there's other stuff, there's people we meet and stuff like that, but
Is anybody ever good that their moniker is the Conqueror?
no,
exactly.
no, yeah, no.
Was anybody
Yeah, they just keep-
surprised by that?
I'm surprised
Tim
that-
the Conqueror's-
Right. I'm just surprised they actually called him Kang at some point, because they just kept calling him the Conqueror. I'm like, just call him Kang. This is like fucking Star
Everybody
Trek,
knows.
right?
Yeah.
This is like Star Trek Into Darkness. Like, just say his name. Like, god damn.
I feel
Um,
like he was like doing the
damn right.
Voldemort thing, like he shall not be named kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
It was Michelle Pfeiffer's whole. I'll tell you later. I'm not going to tell you right now. Well, what's going on? Well, let me tell you later. So
I
That,
should
that
have already.
was oh my
I should have
God.
told you. Okay, what should you have told me? I'll tell you.
I'll
later.
tell you later.
Yeah.
We got to let the movie happen first before I can tell you.
They're like, well, we got this really long ride until we get to this city on this big like manta ray thing we're riding. Why don't you tell us now?
And really, the
really, like-
story's not that long. It's like, well, I did the thing. I helped the guy.
I met a
Brought
guy who
about
turned
the
out
end
to
of
be
the
bad.
world. Yeah, exactly. That's really all there is
Well-
to it. It's not that long.
The funny part is,
She said.
they're like, why did you tell us this two movies ago? I don't know. We hadn't thought about it yet. We're still writing the script as it goes along. We had to wait for the guy from Rick and Morty to write it, that type of thing.
That
But
was in phase
Um,
3 when we were making good movie. I mean,
oh man, you remember when that purple dick guy? Remember when he was like the main threat?
oh.
No, now we got Creed's mortal enemy in this movie, and he has to have reasons.
Even
And
had a
then
boxing match.
Clever
Yeah.
Lens
yeah,
son.
right, yeah.
I kicked the shit out
but
of everybody.
right. So here's a question for all of you guys, and I think everybody kind of who's watching this kind of gets the gist. I'll start with you, Rob, and then I'll go from Rob to Jacob to Triv. Tell me what you think of this movie overall.
It is the Infinity War of Ant-Man movies, I would say. And it's like when your car's leaking oil and it rains and you move and it's all rainbow like. If you combine those two, you get Ant-Man 3. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I think I enjoyed it enough. I liked it more than I did Doctor Strange, actually. I felt like when I came out of Doctor Strange, I didn't know what happened. Like nothing felt connected.
Yeah.
At least this at least like the story of this one felt like it was at least coherent through the whole movie enough. It kind of felt like generic earlier Marvel movie.
Right.
Like I think you could have, if this was slotted in somewhere within the Infinity Saga, I think it would have felt like it fit within those type of movies, but it would have been like lower, like the Ant-Man or Iron Man 3 or Thor 2-ish kind of. I think it felt like that. I just kind of like, I think when I was watching it, I was entertained enough by everything going on. I think Jonathan Majors was the best part of the movie, but like right when it was over, I just kind of lost interest in it. It didn't really hold my interest beyond that.
Yeah, that ending was something. I'll tell you what. You want to
It
see
felt like
true? Yeah,
it felt like a filler movie more. Like it didn't really feel like it built up to anything. And then the one thing I keep thinking about Kang is it's like every other time we see him, it's goofy. So like the first time we saw him in Loki, he was kind of goofy, and then this one he was kind of a badass and disintegrating people and all that. But
That's a different one, isn't it? Isn't it a
the
different variant?
yeah,
yeah.
this
It's
was the
he who shall not be named or something like that.
yeah, it was in
I think
Loki.
I think it's what they call. Him. Yeah.
And then this one felt like somewhat of a threat for a while, and then the post-credit scene just felt like goofy again to me.
Absolutely.
Like I was like, is this what the Kang Dynasty movie is going to be?
Well,
I hope so. I really hope so.
Well, here's the funny part, real quick, is there's some scenes in here that feel like the worst part of Star Wars, like Attack of the Clones and Rise of
Oh my
Skywalker.
god, that totally felt that way about this movie.
Like, especially that end credit sequence. I'm like, is this the layer in Rise of Skywalker where Palpatine's at? I was thinking that.
So cool.
The CGI was cartoonish.
Yeah,
and it was so I didn't care at all about any of the extra characters like the that populated that world.
You didn't care about Broccoli Man?
I cared about Broccoli Man because I like broccoli, but he didn't have cheese on his head, so
Yeah.
I was waiting for Cheese Man to fall on his head. I did like Kirby, the character
Holes Man.
Kirby.
You're waiting for Tofu to pop up from Resident Evil,
Yes.
or is it Silent Hill?
No, that's Resident Evil.
Is it?
Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
The most excited I got was when Cheetah popped up from The Good Place.
Oh
The
yeah,
Good Place.
William Jackson Harper.
I was like, hey, it's that guy.
It's that guy. I know him. Oh,
References, things I know.
That's funny. What about you, Jacob?
I'll let Triv go.
All right, Triv.
So I'm with you on the Star Wars thing. Like this gave me serious like prequel vibes.
Yeah.
Like there's the whole big shot when they show his army like lining up to go invade, I'm guessing Kang's homeworld, and it's like shot for shot, like that the whole thing is set up the way that when they pull out all the clone troopers.
Yeah.
It was like scary how close it was. It really did have a very outer spacey vibe to it. It was very middle of the road. I can't say that it was bad. I can't say it was good. I mean, I'm going to kind of echo what Rob said. Kang was the best part of this, but I didn't have the depth of feeling that I would have had for like Thanos in Infinity War, or, Kilgore, or some of the more deep Marvel villains that we've seen that you really give a shit about.
Those two.
Yeah, exactly.
It felt Kang really felt a little bit closer to I don't know who was Whiplash.
Yeah, it was just kind of a.
He didn't have a parrot.
Yeah, exactly, and that's
my
sad.
Mid-parrot.
My bud.
Bill Murray showing up was someone spoiled it like when it's was it in the trailer?
Yeah,
it was.
Oh shit, I missed that trailer.
Disney spoiled it.
Yeah, well, no, someone brought it up after the screener the other night, and I was like, oh, well, that's nice. Thanks for spoiling that shit. But not that it's not like ooh, you could have tossed his character and it really wouldn't have mattered one way or the other. But it was cool to see him doing his thing. I know that it looked like someone vomited color all over the place, but I do commend them for the variety of designs and such. Character, or like the aliens in the background and some of the like the landscapes and stuff were cool. Yeah, the rest of it, it was inconsequential by and large, and Rob's right, it was very much a filler movie. So yeah, it's very middle of the road. So
I would say, hasn't that been phase 4 and 5 all filler? No
phase 4.
Filler
phase 4. Like this movie, outside of Loki, which one of the big end credit sequences deals with Loki, this movie's supposed to be the setup to Kang and the Avengers and everything coming forward. It has Kang, and then there's the mid credit sequence, which we'll talk about. But it just feels like it feels.
It doesn't
I
go
can't remember a
anywhere.
movie. What's that?
Like it doesn't go anywhere really.
Yeah, and that's been the problem with
It-
like Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange didn't. My problem with Doctor Strange goes far beyond just the movie itself. It goes beyond like you have like great characters played by like Chiwetel Ejiofor who are played like jokes in that movie, and that's what it feels like here. It feels like some of the villains are just kind of man. Like Kang is like he could be such a cool like the comic character of Kang is so cool because it's just how he acts. And don't get me started with M.O.D.O.K because M.O.D.O.K's my favorite villain of the whole entire Marvel universe and
Damn
comics.
it, Daryl.
Yeah, damn it, Daryl. Don't be a dick. But yeah, I just
Darren.
Darren. Oh
Darren.
shit. Sorry.
I was like, who's
Yeah.
Daryl? Are we talking about like Newhart?
Yes. Yes, we
I'm
are.
Daryl. It's my brother Daryl. My other brother Daryl.
We'll call him Big Head. It's weird. It's really hard to do M.O.D.O.K. I'll be fairly honest. So what they did with M.O.D.O.K. in this wasn't the most offensive. I've seen way worse. I still think at this point, like the M.O.D.O.K. TV series that was out was probably the best version. Even though a lot of people didn't like that for some reason, but I don't know. I'm sitting here watching this movie. I went in with like the lowest expectations. I told you guys this. I was like, this movie's gonna be terrible. I'm gonna stop watching the MCU after this because I'm being serious. Like the next movie that like shits the bed. This is pretty close. I'm done because I can't handle this shit anymore. Me and Jacob have talked about this. I think you and I did like a Doctor Strange spoiler cast or Thor spoiler cast or whatever we did, and it feels like at this point I'm hoping that what with the switch out of Bob Chapek to Bob Iger again, that Kevin Feige will be able to right this fucking ship because I think Kevin Feige did the best he could, but I think it's gotten to a point where it's so oversaturated and so like even for somebody who enjoys comics, I borrowed a comic from the library called The Death of Doctor Strange because I want to learn more about that character, but it's like this Ant-Man series, like it doesn't really do anything for me at all. I don't know. It's really strange, and the visuals are cool but uninteresting, and that's kind of where I land. I'm like with you guys. This character needed better character writing.
I think the weirdest thing, and I guess maybe I'm looking at this. I know why it happens this way, but like, and I'm sure we'll discuss the ending, but the way that they pull the ending is the way that the movie started as well. And as an Avenger, as someone that's gone through all of that stuff, the way that Paul Rudd kind of handles stuff, you kind of look at it and go, you know better than this. You know to not fuck around with this. Why are you fucking around with this? And it just, I don't know. That the whole last like 20 minutes is just, it's so weird. It's like it was tacked on as an afterthought.
Jacob, have at it. I know you want to. That's why I know why you wanted to go last. Go at it. We're waiting.
Okay, so
Batten down the hatches.
No. All right, so Ant-Man.
It's electric.
I liked Ant-Man, the first Ant-Man. I probably liked it more than other people did. That's back when I really liked the MCU.
It was fun.
It was. I thought it was enjoyable. People talked about how it was a throwaway movie. I didn't think so. I mean, it was a standalone movie, but that's back when Marvel did that. Remember, they'd make standalone movies and they'd build a character with their own movies and then work them in. It's back then. It was at the end of all that, but that's what that was. The second one, I thought was fine. I thought it was fun too. I enjoyed the second one. I didn't think it was as entertaining as not entertaining. I didn't think it was as good as the first one, but I thought it was close. It was a solid sequel. I was entertained by it, had a good time with it, had some good comedy that worked for it. It wasn't Marvel comedy so much as it was just Ant-Man comedy. It's before Thor Ragnarok. Well, I think Thor Ragnarok had already come out at that point. It's before everything was being Thor Ragnarok. So I went into this, and I remember me and Nick were talking about this movie, and I know you were not impressed by the trailer. Just looking at just the trailer on its own, I was like, okay, this is my shit. You know, I like sci-fi. That's my favorite genre, sci-fi and fantasy. I like Ant-Man. Yeah, the aesthetic looks like I've seen it before, but you know, I was more excited about this than I have been about a Marvel movie in a while. The only thing that was throwing me off is that what Marvel has been for the past few years now, since Endgame. But there's one of their Loki. I like the Loki TV show, but their movies and most of their TV shows, in my opinion, have been just shit. So like I've been very disappointed with Marvel. I was hoping this would be good. I heard like everybody that it wasn't good, so I kind of went in with low expectations. After all was said and done, it wasn't as like Rob said, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be from what everybody was saying. But it wasn't anything, man. It wasn't as good as the other two Ant-Man movies. It had, I guess somebody will say the purpose is to get Kang in rotation there, but it looks like there's an awful lot of Kangs in rotation already.
Yeah.
And it starts quick too. It jumps right into it. I'll give it that. It doesn't waste any time.
Nope.
But once they got there to the sci-fi, I know it's quantum realm, but they might as well be in space. It was really just like, man, this aesthetic looks really cool. And it looked great in 2014 when I saw it in Guardians of the Galaxy. Like this entire movie, with the exception of the parts in the very beginning where we've seen in the trailer, was shot on a volume or something to a green screen, if you will. And it just all looks so fake that it's like there's no weight to any of it. There's nothing memorable about it, personality really to it. And it's just such a mishmash of colors and shit on the screen. Nothing stands out. 500 people in the back or creatures in the background, they just all blend together. They could have just put like a Jackson Pollock painting behind them and it would have been the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
No, the main problem with the story is it's like every fit. What's that? Yeah,
there's not much of one. I mean, it's there,
too,
but I'm happy they kept it at 2 hours.
Yeah,
instead of
the
3
whole
hours.
atmosphere is different. Like between every shot, it's like different, so you never get like some anchor to say, "Oh, this is where we are right now." Because
a lot of
the
it's
next
like
second they'll be like in a desert-looking thing, and then the next one they'll be in Willy Wonka's.
Yeah, exactly. A lot like Rob said too is relatively. I was not bored out of my mind. There were parts I was just like, I wasn't flat out just like checking my watch. Oh my god, bored. But I was just not very connected. I was just there, and I was like, stuff is happening. I wasn't really in it, admittedly. And then Kang shows up, Jonathan Majors, and I really liked Jonathan Majors in this movie. I had heard everybody saying, "Oh, he's the reason to go see the movie. He's so awesome, and he makes the movie." I guess he makes the movie, but that's not really a compliment. I guess it's a compliment to him, but I mean, I think what makes him seem so good, not to say he does bad, he does a good job here, but what makes him seem even better is that the rest of the movie is so fucking bland. And for a movie that is so colorful and fantastical, to be bland is a problem. But when he shows up, he does actually, his character has character. His character has menace. You remember his character. Name another character in this movie that wasn't pre-existing besides M.O.D.O.K, obviously. But I mean, there's just like Ant 582. You know, I mean, nobody else had any type of presence or character except for Jonathan Majors. And then by the end of the movie, the very end with the big ta-da they do, during that whole time, he's doing a Kylo Ren from Last Jedi. He's just standing on a bridge going, "Fire! More, do this." And then he goes and zaps some people. I know you're expecting me to come up here and just trash the movie. I don't think it was a good movie.
Yeah.
But it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
That's the thing about this movie is, even though Guardians of the Galaxy is set in a distant place, in a distant world off the Earth and stuff like that, the fact that you have, even though there are like alien worlds and stuff like that, you're always, what James Gunn does so well is he can set you on like nowhere or something like that, and you have kind of, you can understand what's going on. It's simple enough but complex enough that the most layman person can understand that. But when you're introducing something like the quantum realm, and then you're introducing the multiverse in the same movie, and the quantum realm is this really cool looking place, but have no sense of direction of what it's doing, that's where the real issue with this movie comes into effect. Is not on top of just the fact that the characters are really bland, they're really boring. The rebel fighters, the one that you drink his blood and you can understand all of the language and stuff like that.
Drink the ooze.
Yeah, drink the ooze.
I did
hey,
like,
if you drink the ooze, you can understand what they're saying. Oh, okay, cool. No, she's Dad, drink the ooze. Drink the ooze.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the explanations.
Yeah, I'll tell you later.
Right, that was the explanations in this whole movie. They kicked the can down the road, and then it's like, what was, we talked about it before, the thing that was supposed to be a really long, intense story turned out to be an easy, 2-minute discussion.
I'll tell you later.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Like you have no real context of this is my problem with this movie, is there's no context to this world. Like, yes, Janet Van Dyne or whatever the hell her name is, new about this world, but it's like the quantum realm, from everything we've seen from the last 25,000 movies, is just this void space where she got sucked into and she lived in this kind of weird kind of, psychedelic world. But no, it's this like multiversal world with like really cool tech and ideas, and it just feels like it's all rushed and you're out of place and you're never really kind of, as you guys said, in one place. And then on top of that, the rebel fighter bullshit, the fighting against the bad guy, you put characters in there that they're just boring. They're bland stereotypes of
That was
nothingness.
to have a revolution.
Yeah, and
like
they get their ass kicked like several times, and then finally they're able to stop fucking Kang, and they're like, "Oh, we won, yeah!" And like, no, you didn't. You got your fucking asses zapped to
You didn't win.
dust.
Fucking ants won. No,
Yeah.
on the look of the movie, because we've all mentioned it, I got two things, and then I'll let everybody else go. I don't think the look of the movie is that creative, honestly. At face value, it is. You look at it and you're like, oh yeah, it's real colorful, it's real creative, there's all this wild, crazy stuff. But like I said, and I mean, at least some of you guys agreed, none of it's memorable. I mean, you look at Guardians of the Galaxy with James Gunn, and he's like, not that every single location in that movie was memorable, but there were definitely parts like the head, the giant
nowhere
skull or whatever. I mean, there were things that were distinct, that were memorable. The environments, the backgrounds, the prison, all that, they had character.
Yeah, even Volume 3 looks kind of like that.
The backgrounds looked memorable and had character. They stood out. This one, everything is just the fucking same. That crazy, colorful, weird fucking place that they first show up at, it might as well have been that everywhere. Every now and then, oh, there's some buildings there, I guess. It just like all fades to the background. Nothing stands out. There is no character.
You're giving no context to anything. You're not like, you see a big gap in the whole of space
city.
or whatever. What is that? Like, what is any of this? Like, there's no explanation to any of it.
So, and Kang created all that, I guess. He's the one who made like this technological civilization under here with all this stuff, get all the stuff for the people, but he oppresses the people. What the fuck? Why would he do that? Why would he make this huge city and build this technologically advanced society and then oppress the society? I'm not saying people don't do that, but I mean, what, he's not planning on being there real long. What is his goal there? I don't know. I feel like they did it just so they could have pretty stuff in the background, but instead of, it's like creative side of putting that that pretty stuff back there. I'm sure they have very talented artists that were doing it and like programming this and putting it up there, but the creative people that come in and make that stuff stand out, they got fired or they weren't there or they took off. I don't know, but my other issue with this movie, I feel like I've done this with Marvel a lot in the past year or so, where it's like, because Marvel did such a great job with Phase 1, 2, and 3. They had some missteps, but they were awesome. I was a fanboy. Look at my in-game review. Look at the ones that I did review on my channel. I was all about them, man. And even the bad ones, I was willing to, give them some credit and be like, well, Thor: The Dark World, it's not good, but it's all right. I can do a review of it. But that's how I felt about it. I would give them some slack because they had earned it. They had done such a good job with everything else. I was like, it's okay that you tripped a little here. And I feel like I've been doing that with all of Phase 4, and now this is the beginning of Phase 5. I feel like I'm giving them all this credit because they earned it. And you do that with movies when you have somebody like Steven Spielberg or James Cameron or somebody like that to make these amazing movies. If they have something that's not perfect in one of their movies, it's like, it's all right, because they've earned that. And I think the MCU did earn that. But I feel like they've lost that now. We're going on years at this point to where they have not really come out with anything genuinely creative. And I don't count the Spider-Man movies because those were a Sony production too. And like, everything's just kind of sucked. And I'm tired of giving them, like, throwing them a bone and being like, well, the next one, it'll be the next one. It was Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That's going to be the one. Oh, well, that sucked. Thor: Love and Thunder. Oh, that's good. Oh, that sucked too. Oh, Black Panther. Oh, well, that's really sad that he passed away, and they did a really good tribute to him, and that was great. The tribute was really good, but the rest of the fucking movie was just like, what's going on? The next one, Ant-Man, it's the beginning of Phase 5. They've changed phases, so I'm sure it'll be great now. I'm kind of tired of giving them a bone. Yeah. It's their turn to give me something, because I feel like I've been taking the bone from these motherfuckers. I'm sure Guardians pretty good, though, because James Gunn's pretty cool.
I was thinking back about the first Ant-Man and what really made that film kind of feel different. And I think a lot of it was Edgar Wright was the original director and writer of that.
Yeah.
And even when they changed directors, you could still see all of the Edgar Wright influence in that first movie, and it even
Like how it
kind of
was
leaked
told,
over.
like how
Yeah.
he was telling the story and everything, and it was showing the
And,
stuff. Yeah, that was very Edgar Wright.
and it even leaked into the second movie, but to a lesser extent. And then now this movie has completely gone away from any of that Edgar Wright influence that made it
Yeah.
feel different.
Well, they're not. It's not an Edgar Wright movie. It's not a Russo brothers movie. It's a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it feels like somebody, instead of trying to make an Edgar Wright movie, is trying to make a James Gunn movie and not doing a very good job at it. And I think about the multiverse thing. Well, a couple things I think about. Well, you were talking about the background characters or all the characters that populate this world, and they just give no explanation or even simple backstory. They're just like, oh, there's people here. Oh, okay.
They're NPCs.
Yeah,
like,
basically.
Are they from there? Did they come from another universe or a planet?
One of them
Why
took
are
an
they-
arrow to the knee.
Why are there humans? Even like Bill Murray's character is like, I might be
Yeah.
human or something like that.
I had sex with Janet. That was my claim to fame. It's like
Yeah.
No,
Why was
actually-
Bill Murray there. I mean, besides
yeah.
Bill Murray. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it was neat to see Bill Murray, but
Yeah.
Yeah, he served. You could have
This-
taken him out, and there was no.
It
There
could've been-
wouldn't have had anything.
anybody. I mean, he didn't add seeing when you know it's him walking up if you've seen the trailer. But I mean, yeah, seeing Bill Murray on screen, that's cool, but it didn't add anything to get Bill Murray in there. Besides,
It wasn't a
them just saying,
Zombie
"It's Bill
Land
Murray."
kind of. It wasn't a Zombie Land cameo.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It was them just
It's like
saying
they're
"Look, it's
trying
Bill
to
Murray."
recapture the Thor Ragnarok. What's his name?
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See, this is the thing that cracks me up is I know we shit on the prequel series, the prequel trilogy a lot. The thing about the prequel trilogy and what makes it interesting is
people
the
love those
may,
movies now.
well, that's true, but
That's this
those movies may
generation Star
suck in
Wars.
our
Yeah.
well,
It
yeah,
is.
that the movies may suck in our eyes, but at least George Lucas had the competency to, if he's going to have clone troopers or some kind of world building content, that it makes sense and you actually have
Does it though?
definitions.
Yeah,
lot
he
of-
had a vision. He
I-
a lot
true,
of
it was a
true.
cohesive story ish.
Yeah, like a lot of the characters are like, for instance, you look at the whatever the creatures, the flying creatures that help build the Death Star and Attack of the Clones, you actually get a good sense of what those characters are. And you look at a movie like this and you have those characters in the background, you have no sense. It's like watching Men in Black when they're walking through the Men in Black headquarters. You have more context about what those characters are than you have in this whole entire movie. And there's not, it's just, that's like a 2-minute scene. Here
Your
you got a
passion.
2-hour movie. Yeah, here you got a 2-hour movie and you got characters in the background and they're there for like 3 seconds and you're like, oh, there's a vegetable man and there's a guy that drinks ooze and there's a guy with a glowing he looked like a character out of Mortal Kombat or some shit. You got no context to who
Yeah.
these characters are, and that's the main
Yeah.
problem.
I mean, going to your Star Wars parable, there is regardless of the quality of those movies and George Lucas's directing abilities, he had a passion for that. He cared about it. It meant
True.
something to him. And you could see that on screen. I mean, not all of them were great, or depending on your opinion of them. But like when you saw, like you said, all the background characters, you watch it, there's interesting things going on. Some of this stuff stands out to you. And this one, I don't feel like there's any passion here. I feel like somebody was contracted to make this fucking AI written movie and they just went in and did a job, which
And
I know
George
it's work.
Lucas
It is a job.
he was also pushing forward technology at the time, and sort of the same
Mhm.
way of the original trilogy, because Attack of the Clones, I think, was like the first or second movie to be entirely shot on green screen.
Yeah, it was. The first
Yeah.
one was practical and green screen. Attack of the Clones was, I think you're right. I think
Yeah.
it was the one that went
Yeah.
entirely, almost
think it was one of
entirely
the-
green screen.
I think there was like some indie film that was like a 1920s robotish type movie. That was the first one on green screen. I think then Attack of the Clones was like the second movie to be entirely shot, like ever to be shot entirely on green screen.
And I was gonna say it's funny too because when it comes to like green screen and the volume, I think the volume should be a tool, not what you focus as your crux.
It restricts
Okay.
you. It looks great, but if you see, I think Nick, you sent the video out, and I'd seen some of this when Mandalorian when they were
Yeah,
going
it was
on
cool with
about
the
it.
flashlight. Yeah,
It's really cool what they can do with the volume, but it is restrictive. They're like, you have to stand here. We can move the camera around and it looks great and all this, and I think you can walk, but they have to know, okay, you're going to go from here to here. They have to know what you're going to do. There's not going to be any like You can't be doing any moving over here when you're not supposed to, because it's going to throw it all out of whack.
Well, and they already have that quite a bit with green screen. I know if you talk to people that starred with the prequels, that's a lot of the concern was the fact that you're not acting against people, you're acting against
nothing.
Tennis ball on a stick. That was one thing too. Like,
and green screen, you got to worry about the lighting in it. Like, especially you have to worry about lighting the green screen and all that. I guess it's the same with both of them.
Well, no, and it's kind of it's different. It's variations on a theme, really. But I don't know. Did you guys feel like, the one thing with a lot of Marvel movies is you want to see growth in your character. They shouldn't be the same person at the beginning as at the end. We had such an ensemble cast. Like, it wasn't really an Ant-Man movie per se, and he kind of came out, the same on both ends. There was no
all the Marvel movies are like that now. I mean, since Civil War, I think it was since Civil War, they've pretty much, or maybe even first, but at least definitely since Civil War, they've all been like, okay, I guess this one's the main character, we'll call it their movie, but it's going to have a whole bunch of other.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there's not even the growth aspect. Like, Ant-Man was essentially the same coming in and going out.
He was exactly the same scene and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, no one grew in this movie. I guess Kang did. Got his fucking ass kicked.
Yeah.
No
got
one
sucked into the orb thing.
I gotta jump into M.O.D.O.K here.
M.O.D.O.K, into that big head fucker.
Yeah, M.O.D.O.K's one of is, like I said, I've said it before, my favorite villain. I love the idea of just this scientist who basically has he has I want to say Peter Pan syndrome or something like that. I don't know exactly what his problem is, but he creates the machine to basically be a villain. He's actually quite a powerful villain. And when I found out it was Corey Stoll, and I'm like, oh God.
I don't, not to cut you off, I don't know shit about M.O.D.O.K. What is his? Is this anything
he's a scientist. He is a ability to create. He's similar like
no, he's a big fucking head. That's all.
Yeah.
Seen pictures of.
He's got a little tiny butt that we got to see in this whole movie.
Little baby butt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, AIM and stuff like that. And he created this weaponized tech to be a bad guy, but he basically is like Edward Nygma and like Batman and Forever or something like that. That type
so it
of
wasn't
thing
done to him in the comics. He did it to himself.
Yes. Yeah. No. What ends up happening in this is he's basically condensed into like big head or whatever, and then he turns into Darth Vader at some point.
Wasn't he like that when he got there? When we saw the flashback, it happened fairly quick, and I was like, lots of colors. But
yeah, a little butt.
Was he like?
Yeah.
Kang didn't make him look that way. He looked that way when he got there.
No. When he got sucked into the quantum realm in the first movie, when he got like all twisted and contorted, apparently the only thing left was like tiny legs, tiny little T-Rex legs and arms and giant head. And I think like during his experiments or something like that, that's what caused him to grow. I don't think his head was actually that big. I think it just the kind of cause of like the work that he did. But so they've changed. There's a lot of things in this MCU that's changed from what the originally seen. I mean, you could look at any movie, it's been changed pretty dramatically. This is like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. My problem with M.O.D.O.K is he's Kang's bitch in this movie, which is not what M.O.D.O.K is. M.O.D.O.K is not someone's bitch. M.O.D.O.K is a true villain. He may be like a lower tier villain.
I didn't mind him working for
no,
Kang.
but the problem is
he was not
the problem is not the problem he's working for Kang. Is the problem is when Kang's like shut the fuck up and he's like he just backs away like a dog. I'm like, that's not fucking M.O.D.O.K, man. You don't
that was a legit line though.
Yeah, and he gets smacked around. Yeah,
he felt wasted, honestly. Like the character.
Cassie tells him not to be a dick, and he's like, I'm not a dick. I'm going to be an Avenger. It's like, oh, what are you doing?
He was comic relief. They should have had that. Because I ain't gonna lie, when he showed up, I knew it was going to be him because, they showed him in the trailer. He was in the movie a lot more than I thought he would be. When he showed up, like his entrance was pretty, like, I was like, okay, cool. They're like building this entrance, is building him up to be like this badass. Everybody's afraid of him. And then it just went into fucking comic relief. I think they should have left the mask thing on him. Does he ever take that off in the comics? Or is that him?
No, he doesn't wear it. He always, his face is what you see. Like that whole mask thing is built for the movie.
I'd be okay with that. Leave the mask
he's
on.
Not yeah.
And just have him talk.
Something where
the
mask had like, he could move and talk in the mask, Like it was made of some material that could talk.
That or
and maybe he
Darth
could take
Vader
it off.
Yeah.
or at least did more to his face, like have some sort of electrodes on it or something to give more detail than just like
That big fucking head with
JPEG
a little bud.
switch.
He was essentially George Lopez in the whatever Spy Kids movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah,
3D.
yeah.
Spy Kids 3D.
Yeah. I remember seeing a lot of things to that night. It was one of those things where it was a still, it was kind of hard to tell, but yeah, that's pretty right on.
Yeah.
It's like I would not have wanted to be the VFX artist working on that because I probably would have hated life.
It
Well,
looked
that's a
it looked funny, and that's what they played it
yeah.
up as.
Yeah.
Can we,
But
can,
then how do you do that though? Like how do you take a
You
giant
don't.
head?
You leave the fucking
tiny
mask
arms?
on. That's what you do.
Well, yeah.
I think. I mean, if I showed you a picture of M.O.D.O.K in like comic form, it actually doesn't. It looks pretty cool actually, but it's they almost took his face and then like wrapped it like
It looked like Kang from Krang from Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, but no, there's
It looks like a
there's
bad
horror
Instagram
film that-
filter.
Yeah, like there's a horror film where like the stretch, like the face is stretched onto like a
Dead
contraption.
Alive. Dead
Is that what
Alive.
it is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's Dead
that
Alive. Anyway.
it's that type of thing, but it's like, you know, on top of everything, I didn't like where his character went. I feel like he could be cool as like a TV show villain, you know, not similar to like what Patton Oswalt did in the animated series, but I think if they had him like a cool, you know, like a Scarecrow from Batman, the Nolan trilogy, I think that would have been cool. But it's just like, no, he's like, oh, I get what like M.O.D.O.K means, blah blah. It's an acronym, and then they started making fun of like what'd you do to yourself? Like,
Did you like the design of like the mask and all that before he took it off?
It was fine. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. I feel like there's a lot of like masks just like disappearing out of nowhere and reappearing. I think there's a lot of that shit in Marvel. Yeah,
That was like
if it's not nanotech.
Yeah, well, and the thing that got me was in the middle of freaking battle, they kept taking off their masks. It's like, dude,
They get hit, take it off.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah.
Oh,
leave the damn thing on.
Right.
And they break the rule that they said in I think the first Ant-Man, like. So now they can grow big and take off their mask now. Yeah, they can just take it off and be free and wide and open. Like, can they take off the suit and just be giant?
They're free balling
when they were hugging and stuff.
Yeah, it's like
I thought.
Yeah, you're like breaking your own rules.
I thought he had to have. That's right, because when Kang smashed his mask later on, I was like, oh, there he goes. He can't get bigger or smaller anymore. But you're right. They were like maskless, hugging like 50-foot woman style.
50-foot cam girl.
Wouldn't their head like go back to normal size and like contort their body or something? Because that like their whole body has to be within the suit.
Maybe it's because like whatever atmosphere they're breathing in the quantum realm would be different than on Earth.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like there's Star Wars.
The reason is I mean, it still doesn't make sense, but it's just me trying to.
Well, because they did make a big deal about the mask breaking. Like they lingered on the broken mask on the ground for a bit. And it's like that's gonna come back later, and it's like it didn't.
Yeah, that was gonna be like a mid-credit scene or something. That's what Kang was gonna use to get out.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
And that's the other thing about Kang and Janet Van Dyne. The whole plot of like why Kang's down there. It's fine. It's cool. It's rushed. But the whole like. Accurate? I don't. Probably not. I don't know. I know. Actually, I know Kang and Cass. I read about this today on I don't know in IMDb or IGN or whatever. But Kang and Cassie have like a history together with the Young Avengers or some shit. But
baby.
Yeah.
Are they gonna have fake twins that they're gonna go to other universes to try and play?
No, their kid is the blob guy that really likes holes.
Yeah.
Holes.
Which is actually ironically he's voiced by David Dastmalchian, who of course was in the Ant-Man movies. And that's the other thing. They got rid of Tip, and they got rid of David Dastmalchian. Yeah, Michael Pena. They should have brought them into the quantum realm. You know how much better the movie would have been if you just had like a whole scene with Michael Pena just doing the back history or whatever of like them stuck in the quantum realm. History. Yeah. But David Dastmalchian, he actually voices the blob guy.
Nice.
Which is but like I gotta ask you guys. So the thrust of this movie is Janet Van Dyne and Kang work together because Kang is a manipulator. He's lying about who he is and what he is and stuff like that. And he has this device, which is isn't it like a Galaxy Quest device? Like it allows you to go alternate dimensions and shit. Isn't that what Galaxy Quest ship?
It's like the arc reactor MacGuffin thing.
Yeah. I mean, did you
It
guys
makes
like
clothes.
The ball with rings.
the ball of rings?
Yeah.
like she like I
Fushigi.
like they well yeah they don't make it like really
cock ring?
clear. So she just tosses a bunch of like embiggening things on it. Like, did
Embig-
that make any sense to you guys at all?
They look like the little discs that
I
you
was-
put on the Disney Infinite game, like the special powers for your character.
Yeah, no, I got you on that one.
I was confused. Like, I guess when the ship powered up, it was able to just generate his clothes that he was missing.
That's
But like, and she's like, now
His
that he has
nanotech clothes.
clothes, he's
Oh, so this is like in Grand Theft Auto where you just walk into a store and you can just like buy clothes. It's that type of thing.
yeah. I was like, because I was thinking, I was like, well, if the ship can generate clothes, wouldn't the other Kangs that stranded him there take those out? So if he did get the ship up and running, he wouldn't be able to get his powers from the clothes.
You're thinking too deeply.
Yeah. And
You
the
must
reason
stay
is,
deeper.
The reason is, Rob, I'll tell you later.
Oh,
But no,
why
like,
you lie to us?
but Kang threatens to kill Cassie Lang unless Scott Lang goes and retrieves by going small or whatever into the whatever multi-drive, whatever you want to call it. And he talks about the multiverse and stuff like that, which is whatever it is.
He's
you know,
got to
once
take
again-
a cold shower to get smaller.
Exactly. But they go into he goes into this and he starts seeing clones of himself. I enjoyed this scene. I thought it was pretty funny. Then they do like he gets sucked down into all the clones, and it comes like Toy Story when Woody's being like having the nightmare of him being like engulfed with all the toys. And of course, of course, Hope Van Dyne goes down in there. I like that stuff. I was waiting for Bing Bong from Inside Out to pop up, to help him. But like the Baskin Robbins, Scott Lang pops up, stuff like that. I was fine with that. That's the kind of humor that I actually enjoyed.
That didn't make no damn sense though.
It doesn't make sense, but I enjoyed it for what it was because it
It's
allows
Past
it allows
variations.
Paul Rudd. Yeah, it
I
allows
did kind of
Paul
like
Rudd
that
to.
scene where all the Paul Rudds basically became ants. I mean, to reach.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
they're
man.
together like
Yeah, yeah.
I like that. I thought that. Was
I appreciate
pretty
that they did not call that out because Marvel
Yeah.
real bad about doing something. You're like, oh, that's oh, okay. You just said it. You just
Yeah.
lost it.
cool. They just kind of let it be.
Like somebody will be like, I expected like Kang or M.O.D.O.K to be like, what is he doing? They're climbing up each other to get to the top. Like
He's
ants.
becoming the ant man.
He's an ant man.
He's like some
Ah.
kind of ant man.
I was
How
waiting.
ants climb up on top of each other.
I was waiting for
That's
Kang to
really-
do Morpheus. He's like, he is the one. Yeah, man.
What's
But,
he doing? He's beginning to believe.
Believe.
He's not a
but-
dick either.
Yeah, right. But this all
Can I
this stuff.
say real quick?
Yeah,
'cause I
go,
will
no, go ahead,
forget.
go ahead.
I did a lot of drugs when I was younger, so I forget things. But so the one thing I got to say that my biggest disappointment of this movie, I know it's a bit of a departure, and we're gonna get back into what you're saying real quick. But I thought of this while I was watching it. This has got to happen. This has got to happen. Not one single time, and you're in this fantastical world with creatures that are humanoid-ish, but different enough to where I feel like you could have done this in a PG-13 movie. Not one single goddamn time did Ant-Man, his daughter, or Evangeline Lilly's character, Wasp, the people that can shrink and grow, no one went up someone's ass and then grew
Oh,
and exploded them.
jeez.
They could have done
I
this.
watched The Boys for that. I did laugh when they said he had 7 holes, and then he thought about it for
Yeah.
a second.
Oh, yeah,
that,
yeah.
that was funny.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
He said there and went, yeah, you're right. Because I was doing the
Because
same thing. When he
everybody
said
Exactly,
7,
yeah.
I went, and he did the same thing. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
you got me there.
But the thing about this movie that as we move towards the end of the movie itself is, once again, we've talked about it, there's really nothingness going on. The fact that they need to spend 5 to 10 minutes explaining the whole, they should have just split this movie into 2 and just had Kang and Janet, just a whole movie, just kind of work together and fight and watch Janet. But no, they do a whole exposition scene, and then of course Kang does his whole exposition scene, and then we have the worst offender in this movie, which comes near the end when, of course, Cassie and the rebellion and all that nonsense. She gets on the big screen after Jonathan Majors is interrupted, and she gives the speech that every fucking action movie gets with the Braveheart scene or the Pirates of the Caribbean scene, where she's like, "Rise up and we can take him down." And I'm like, and then they just do the whole like you can't. They do the whole Transformers thing where you just can't fucking keep up with anything that's going on. You're just like, here's Scott Lang. He's become big because he's pissed off at Jonathan Majors' character, and here's some rebels fighting, and they're getting beat, and then here's this and this and this and this.
Did you like Cassie's character?
No, I thought she was fucking annoying.
Yeah, I didn't care for her either.
I like
felt
Kathryn
like she
too.
was
I think
like
she's funny.
a mixture of messages they couldn't follow through with that they wanted
Yeah.
to throw into a person that were relevant now, and I was just like,
It felt very forced, especially the beginning, like the whole line
Like,
about
why is she in
homeless
prison? Who cares?
encampment
Why is
and, like, oh, just because I was there helping the homeless people who were thrown out on the street because of the
Yeah.
blip and the
peaceful
people-
protests and all that stuff. And I was like, come on, man, it's escapism. I want to escape that shit. Come on.
Yeah, and I'm like Scott Lang. I'm like, when did you get a suit? When did this fucking happen? I've been around you most of the time since I've been coming back from the blip. When did you get a fucking suit? Like,
Who
what
decided-
else are you hiding from me? Are you pregnant? Did you have a kid? What the fuck are you doing?
And why
she
did
waited a
Hank
long
Pym?
time to activate the suit.
Yeah.
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 And why didn't you do that earlier in the fucking movie while we were running from all that shit in the beginning parts?
I'll tell you
Probably
later.
could've used- yeah, I'll tell you
Or when
later.
they're falling
Tell
to
you.
your death.
Why did Hank Pym start going on a rant? Kirk Douglas, not Kirk Douglas. Michael Douglas.
Did you bring up his, or did you dig up his corpse and bring him out for
Oh.
this?
Yes.
but-
he was in the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Spartacus. Why did he start to go on a rant about socialism? About how
Yeah.
it's not really that bad, and you're like, what? And then it like changes scenes. You're like, whoa, what?
That just really happened, and they're like, "Oh, we just gotta." Put
Wait,
in
that was in a
the-
Marvel movie? What just happened?
Yeah, it's like they threw it in there, and they're like, okay, quick, abort. And I was like,
You
Huh?
know, I completely forgot that he has the ability to talk to his aunts through the earpiece. So I thought he had a hearing aid. I'm like, did Michael Douglas get a hearing aid? I know he's older. Like, I know he's like close
He's
to
in
80,
his
but
70s, yeah.
yeah, I'm like, does he have is this
I
like,
forgot about that.
yeah, I'm like, does he have a hearing aid? Oh, he can talk to ants, which apparently the ants become like, 1,000-year generational characters in a span of 2 hours or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's the other problem. Like, they have this whole civilization in the quantum realm. It's like just trying to like it's like my comprehension of space. It's very difficult to understand. So the quantum realm, it's very difficult to understand because it's like a world in our own world, in our own. It's I don't know. The quantum realm. As much as I like Marvel, I think they're going into territory that's going to be super confusing for people that are not comic literate. Like, we're getting to a point where Kevin Feige told,
it's
yeah, right. Kevin Feige was
throwing
like,
shit in that is, I guess, from the comics and changing it enough to say it's theirs, and they're just throwing it in there to appease fans, and hopefully they're hoping something sticks. I mean, like we said, this one they've got
James
all
gonna
this
take
shit
over
in.
Marvel too. Write this shit.
It just ended up like, all the places in the movie have nothing here. They try to fit so much into it, I guess, that none of it is coherent or makes any sense or even has any character except for the Mos Eisley Cantina.
The multiverse itself feels disconnected too from what the Loki Kang multiverse is compared to what the Doctor Strange multiverse
Yes.
was setting up.
Yeah.
Like, they feel like two completely different.
That was a perfect
Stories.
opportunity for them to link that show and that movie too, and there was nothing. I totally
Yeah.
expected there to be some Loki reference or some type of repercussions from it. And
Oh, there's a Loki reference as long as you're willing to hold your bladder through the 12.5 minutes of credits.
and,
I would also
and
add,
this there is.
I would also add, and this is incredibly random, but the thing that I always enjoyed about the Ant-Man movies is the fact that you get some semblance, and we talked a little bit about it as far as like the size to kind of comprehend what's going on that way. Whether it's like them having this epic battle and you have like the Thomas the Train come along, or Scott is using the flatbed truck as like a skateboard type thing. There's no, like, they get big and it's like there's no point of reference as to, wow, they're big, but they're tiny. It just,
Your point of reference is somebody going, "Holy shit, that's big."
yeah.
Big.
I mean, and
That's a huge
let's be
bitch.
real. There's a lot of effects in this movie, and it's hard to tell bad effects when there's so many and it's all effects. This movie's
Yeah.
practically just CGI movie. I mean, with some real
Yeah.
people in it. Like the other movies, I think they look better when they were they were using some practical effects, and like when he would shrink and stuff, it had like that perspective. Here, just everything looks like that.
So you're also starting to see the unfortunate nature of too much stuff being put through. Yeah, putting through ILM. Like this is the unfortunate fact of like the level of stuff they have to do now and the amount of stuff they have to do now. No wonder why I've been hearing horror stories come out of ILM about just the workload that they have to do. I mean, think about this. The ILM is the outside of What Digital, which is who did Avatar, is the premier visual effects company. Think about all they have to do, all the movies, TV shows, everything they have to work on at this moment. Yes, they make a lot of money. Yes, they earn a lot of Oscars and stuff like that. But you're starting to see it, as you said, a dip in quality. You see it with you go back and look at like Transformers from like 2007, and then you look at like Quantumania now, and you look at something like 10 years ago. There's a huge like dip in quality. Like
special
it's so
effects
noticeable.
aren't special anymore. They're just because they're not putting any kind of passion into it. They're just like, shit, I have to have this done tomorrow.
Well, we joked for months about Avatar, but that's the reason Avatar looks so good, because there's a lot of work and effort. That's why I think What Digital is actually the better studio right now, because I think their level of competency is much more competent than what ILM is doing, but it's the workload problem.
Well, they use practical shit when they can too. Even with Lord of the Rings, they would use miniature. They use CGI when they have to. And even with Avatar, there's shit in Avatar that's real. Like that whole hand thing that they were wondering for a long time, that's half real, half CGI. I mean, they don't, it's not just like, oh, we'll build it later on.
And that's what this is a prime example. This Marvel movie, and you'll see it for years to come, this is the prime example of the factory system of just shitting stuff out. That's why Avatar will look so good, and a movie like this won't.
Well, you also have a director in those cases that's not going to accept. If you showed this to, I mean, I know I'm a James Cameron fanboy, but if he was making this movie and they brought him these effects, I don't think they would. They'd be afraid to. They'd be afraid to, but he would lose his shit. He'd be like, it'd be like on Alien when he was telling the guy to pull the face hugger, or on Aliens when he was telling him to pull the face hugger with the string. He was like, no, do it like this. No, like that. And he saw him get mad and he goes, I'm going to go away. When you figure this out, I'll be back and we can do it. And he just walked the fuck off. I was like, damn.
You know what I kind of think about? What it kind of Marvel's starting to remind me of is it's like a CW progression. Like if you think about the beginning of think about the beginning of the Arrowverse, and Arrow season 1 and Flash season 1 were very like really great quality, especially for being on CW.
Yeah,
but like
TV shows.
As those shows progress, they start spreading out to like more and more characters have powers, and they introduce more and more mediocre characters, and then those mediocre characters start like getting the spotlight as your main two. Like Arrow and Flash start getting pushed off into the background, and I feel like that accelerates faster because it's on TV over the course of like 5 seasons or whatever. And I think with these movies where it's gone on so long, I kind of wonder if we're getting to that point that those shows inevitably get to, is where the mediocre there's so many people with powers that all the mediocre characters are like becoming forefront, because all the classic characters that they built up are all pretty much gone.
Well, it's kind of like what Nick was referencing earlier with Star Wars, the new trilogy versus the prequels and the ones before the originals. And even like with those shows, they had a plan. I don't think Marvel has a plan now. It's odd. I feel like Marvel is going the way of DC, the DCEU years ago. And everybody used to make fun of them. They're like, Marvel knows what they're doing. They got a plan. They know 4 or 5 movies ahead what they're linking things together. I mean, phases. They don't anymore. I feel like they're just like fuck something.
Well, it's like when WandaVision and Shang-Chi came out. Shang-Chi, I'm like, I actually like Shang-Chi. The ending, what it is. But right. I like the idea of like introducing the 10 rings, and what is that gonna do? Where the hell's that been? There's nothing with the 10 rings. But anyways,
it became a Marvel movie in the very end, but that movie was actually I forgot about that one. It wasn't amazing.
That's because we've had so much crap since.
I don't think link into the Marvels. Was it
the Eternals
Marvel at the end of Shang-Chi?
Oh yeah.
Oh no,
it was Benedict Wong. I don't know.
The Captain Marvel does show up like in one of the credits.
She's in Miss Marvel. She shows up in Miss Marvel. because like she switched.
But she's
places
also
with-
in one of the
I thought
credit
she was at the
scenes
end of
of.
Shang-Chi.
Yeah, she was.
Was she?
Because
She-
there's like a signal coming out of the rings, and she's like, "Oh, it's coming from."
I do not. remember.
Oh
someplace.
yeah, because they're like you see like Sumulu and what Aquafina, and they're in like in a building or room.
They're
or
in a
whatever.
restaurant
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something, aren't
Because-
they? And then
That's
BD
yeah,
one.
it's like a
Mix-
mid credit
not BD
sequence.
And then Miss Marvel has bracelets, doesn't she? Or it's a bracelet.
Yeah.
I
wonder if
don't
it's like the
you got like a
same.
Fitbit.
It's like
And then the
flares
Eternals
Okay.
have
in
their
space.
ring or their wrist.
Where's any of that
bracelets.
stuff at? Like that stuff just got thrown out the window. Like what the hell? Let me talk about this ending real quick. So the ending is just real quick is big battle sequence, and then we have Kang who gets his. He apparently is like super strong, but yet he can get his like super spaceship destroyed pretty easily by a kick of giant Ant-Man or Giant Man or whatever, and then
You skip
has
something. It's in the end, but a little bit before that when Kang goes down there and he's like shooting people with his laser
Oh,
his
yeah, yeah.
repulsors, and he's like evaporating people. One shot, pow, pow, and he even does it behind his back and everything. And like that one part he runs up and he does like he does like this like skip thing and does it and all that. But he's like wiping people out, showing how badass he is. But then he fights Ant-Man and Wasp and baby Ant-Man. And like apparently they can take
Baby
full on
Ant-Man.
hits from this thing, and it just knocks their mask off, and then put it back on.
Yeah,
he's
that's
evaporating
the-
other people.
that's the classic. You ever watch any of those videos where they're like, yeah, so he destroys all the side characters, but he doesn't destroy Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I guess Cassie Lane's character is called Stinger or something like that. But they don't get destroyed by, and then all of a
Hey, shut up.
sudden, yeah. I love him. That guy's amazing. But then they're about to be destroyed by Kang, and then you see the ending of Two Towers happen, where all of a sudden there's like and all the fucking ants are coming down, and
Riders
they,
of Rohan
they are
come
somehow
down the island with Gandalf. Or
yeah. But it's the classic, how ants like if the ants were smart enough or big enough, they could take over the world because there's so many of them. That's what's happening here. M.O.D.O.K's like, I am not a dick, and he destroys the shield, the force shield that Kang has, and then of course Kang is overrun by ants, and we think he's killed. No, he fights. He
We
fights
get the
Jonathan
here
Majors.
he comes to save the day.
M.O.D.O.K
So
could have
the-
made this
right.
movie so much better, man. They had just left that fucking mask on, gave him like a menacing voice, even the voice he was using when he had the mask on, and he just was serious instead of being fucking comic relief. If he was just this menacing like Darth Vader to the Emperor, if he did that the whole time, and he wasn't a bitch, but he was like, the Kang realized how badass he was and used him that way. And they could have had like a big battle with him and then Kang. He could have been that would have give this movie a little bit more personality instead of this fucking I'm a little dick. I got a little
Every
dick
time
because the rest of these little.
Every time I saw M.O.D.O.K like fighting, I wanted to see more of that. It's not
Yeah.
until he like takes his mask off. He's like, "Hey,
I
friends,
got big guns.
look
Well,
at
and
his
what
that-
a weak
legs."
plot to be like his whole revenge thing was just like, yeah, that okay, whatever.
I think they could have kept who he was a secret because it didn't make a fuck really. But I mean, they could have kept just left him as like M.O.D.O.K. And then in the end, they're battling him.
Yeah.
Maybe that's when they realize if they're going to show his face, do it at the very end, and you just see maybe having kind of fucked up and not being like,
Actually, you know what? They should have done Thanos with Kang and just had M.O.D.O.K be the main villain, because I think that would have been much more interesting than having Kang be the main villain. Because I think Jonathan
kind of like
Majors
in
is
Guardians with Ronan.
yeah,
Kang could have
exactly.
been this and
Except
at the
better
end credit
developed
sequence,
and
have
yeah,
Kang come up and be like, I'll do it myself.
do something.
It actually would have made a lot of sense since you mentioned that, like that they open up something because M.O.D.O.K was the one who discovered the signal that they sent
Yeah.
to the quantum realm.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
just the fact that
they can
that's
pull
who the
people
villain
in
was. Yeah, that he was
before
a
his-
scientist. Yeah, and
before
he
his ship is fixed, they can pull people down there, but they can't get out.
Yeah,
They got like a one-way thing.
Oh, that's going to be that's the thing that really made me mad is okay. So they find a way to open up the quantum realm. Cool, whatever. We can get out of this party and move into the normal Earth, whatever. The rebellion, they go off and do their thing. The three all four of them outside of Scott because he gets his ass kicked by Kang. They go in there.
Shit beat out of him.
But the thing is, the thing that kind of ruins it at the end is the simple fact that like Hope comes and saves Scott, and then they lose the access to the quantum realm because they destroyed the machine. It's like, cool. This is a rumor I heard that they were going to be stuck in the quantum realm. Cool. You could have an interesting story, you know, play out in maybe the next movie. Even though I hope there's not a next Ant-Man movie, but no. Cassie like she's able to open the quantum realm, even though Michelle Pfeiffer's like, no, we can't open up the quantum realm again. This is the last chance. No, we're just gonna marvel it and let them get through. And then Scott Lang has like, I wonder if he's gonna come back, which I thought was kind of funny. He's like, oh no, it should be fine. He eats his cake and it's like terrible, but I hate when they do that shit. They should have just left him in the quantum realm as like the new whatever, and then done stuff with that. But no,
that would have been a more satisfying ending. It would have left something open, and then he could have come back because a rat, you know, knocked something off in the next Avengers movie, and he comes back and saves the day.
Think about everything they had to do to get to the quantum realm in Ant-Man 2, and even with the rat thing, like it was a huge machine and a whole thing just to get down there and to get back. I know it's been. Yeah, I know it's been 5 years since when the blip happened, but she's able to like create this small box that's able to open up the quantum realm and all that shit like that. Like you said, the big machine that, you know, sucked you in, and he was there. I don't know, but
and she's such a Mary. She like Cassie, like she's an activist. She's getting arrested. She's doing all this stuff, but she's also a scientist, and she's an Ant-Man or Ant-Woman, and she's a scientist who can figure out shit that nobody ever could. What can't she do? And she can convince M.O.D.O.K that he has a dick.
She can't punch.
She can't figure out a door code. That's kind of the movie. It just,
what was the thing with the cake at the very end? I feel like
it's a joke.
It's just like gross.
Yeah, it's gross.
Okay.
And he his boss thought he could make cakes again. Apparently,
that's right. Okay,
it's
I was
not very
thinking there
well
was some type of like that had some relevance. Like, oh, he's in a different universe where
it was
cake's always bad or something.
It was something really gross and disturbing, and it was green, which says She-Hulk season 2.
There you
go. Gotcha. Fifth wall break. Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah. So okay, the first credit sequence is the Hall of Jonathan Majors. And we get like the
Kangs.
Yeah, yes. Right. But we get like the original Kang that was in like the first the Kang. Yeah, there you go. Anyways, we get we see the first Kang that we ever saw in I think the comic books from what I heard. And basically it's like I don't hate Jonathan Majors for what he's doing, but there are some Jonathan Majors clones or multiverse Jonathan Major Kangs. I was kind of laughing because he's like the way he's portraying some of them is just like were they in insane asylums, were they mentally challenged, like mentally
they were just
retarded?
Goofy. They were just out for fun.
So are they good Kangs? And the one that was in this movie is the bad Kang?
It's insinuated that he's the one that like said, you know, fuck it all, I'm going to right this ship what once went wrong. He's like the Sam Beckett of this world. He like travels dimensions and fixes the problems that need to be fixed and wipes out other Kangs, I guess. I think that's what he was saying. I don't know. But they're like, oh, these Avengers now know about the multiverse, which they kind of know about already, and we have to like put a stop to it, or we need to protect our because the other Kang has been destroyed. And what do you guys think about that? Like, what do you think the implications of that scene, which is, if you're like a layman going in, you don't know much about Kang and the multiverse, like, do you understand what's even going on? Or is this another Marvel end credit sequence that's like, you know, I don't know, the guy from Ted Lasso coming in as Hercules, and you're like, who is this guy? What is this? What is this
Angelina,
nonsense?
not Angelina Jolie, Charlize Theron.
Yeah, like, where's this nonsense? I feel like they're now just like, whatever.
So you can have some, and I say this was total love for you, but like fucking comic nerds, which I'm one too, but you know, these people going, yeah, of course it's this. You don't know the comics. No, most fucking people don't know the comics. That's just the facts. Okay.
Oh, I'll be honest with you. I think you two probably know more about comics than I do. Like,
sure.
I think I've read maybe 100 comics in my life, and most of them were like DC, you know, Red Sun or What Happens to the Man
Well,
Tomorrow or Watchmen or something like
these
that.
movies don't follow the comics anyway. I
I know, but
change all
like,
kinds
but
of shit.
they're getting to a point. I don't know if you guys agree, and Triv, you can step in as well.
Oh, I
They're
don't have
getting to
anything to add on this part.
no, I'm just saying they're getting to a point where Kevin Feige is going super. He's doing what James Gunn did, where he brings in characters that are super whatever, like you've never heard of before, but they're not doing it well. James Gunn was able to bring in Guardians of the Galaxy and make it make sense. Here, you're bringing in a whole like Kang universe that multiversal stuff, and people are like, unless this stuff, like you're going,
Well, he brought in
what is
characters
happening?
and then explained them. Unless
Well,
it was
yeah.
something like Howard the Duck, which that was an Easter egg. And honestly, that part with him just like this duck sitting there drinking something in a smoking jacket, even if you weren't aware of who Howard the Duck was, I think most people or at least know the name. They're like, oh, that's that thing. You
Well,
find
he's
it
bringing-
odd. It fit in this odd little world that they're in. The other characters, you know any of those characters, but you understood them because he fleshed them out.
It's like he's bringing in
Except for Ronan, fleshes
Adam
out.
and Cosmo. Is it Adam? Is that the gold
Adam
guy?
Adam Warlock.
Adam Warlock.
Adam Warlock.
Yeah, he's gonna bring in those characters, and even though Adam Warlock is not as obscure as Ego, the Maniac Planet, Cosmo is the space dog, the Russian space dog that can talk. He's bringing them in. I guarantee you, they're going to be simple enough to understand what exactly and who exactly they are. And when you get this Kang stuff, there's no explanation outside of small pieces and parts in the movie that explain what exactly is happening. So you're getting all these Kangs and different multiversal Kangs that won't make any sense to people unless you have 16 other movies that they'll eventually have to even have somewhat semblance.
Unless this is some conspiracy theory level shit. It's probably not true, but it'd be great. I know we're talking about Guardians here real quick because it kind of branches off because it's Marvel.
Just put Lloyd Kaufman.
That's the next
Lloyd
Marvel
Kaufman
movie,
is the
right?
next. Yeah, Guardians. Yeah.
How awesome would it be if James Gunn, while he was making Guardians, which I know it was shot a while back, he already knew he was going to be taking over DC, and he was like, "I'm going to fuck this movie up."
Dude, what if he did a trauma film? Wouldn't
Yeah,
it
if
be
he just
amazing?
made a
He should've.
terrible movie? It'd be even more doubly awesome if he made a purposely terrible movie to try and fuck Marvel because he knew he was going to DC. I know he didn't.
Dude,
Just having fun.
you
But
did-
it ended up being the most original Marvel movie. Every Marvel movie after that, like they find something that works, they go with it, is going to be like trauma level.
Hey, I can't say that'd be a bad thing at all.
dude, you need to hire Neil Breen and John Waters.
Oh my
No,
God.
not Neil Breen. You're gonna get the same
Neil
movie
Tommy
over and
Wiseau.
over and
Oh my
over
god,
and
it'd be
over.
amazing.
No.
All three of them to joint make the next Avengers.
Okay, so the last thing, anyways, so we have the Kang Dynasty. That's what the Kang Dynasty is going to be. It's going to be just a bunch of Jonathan Majors all over the place, which might be a good thing. I don't know. Maybe it'll make it
No,
better.
it won't.
Come on, Jonathan Majors is running all over the place like Rick and
It's gonna
Morty.
be
And that.
bad.
Dude, that's what the Kang Dynasty is going to be. It's going to be that Rick and Morty episode where it's just nothing but Rick and Morty's in this world. This is going to be a bunch of Jonathan Majors just running around like.
It is
like Benny
more
Hill.
entertaining at this point to speculate how good the next Marvel movie could be than how good the fucking movies are now.
The sad thing is, the next Marvel movie, Guardians, will actually probably be a pretty good movie. Hopefully, better than Volume 2.
Guardians is kind of its own thing because it's out, except for when they interact with the Guardian or with the Avengers. It's in another place, man, and it's almost like its own now three little movies, and this is going to be the one that ties up the previous two. So I do have faith that maybe Guardians of the Galaxy will be like its own thing because I think they brought James Gunn back knowing that, oh shit, we screwed ourselves, and he was probably like, well, you gonna let me do my thing? And they were like, yeah. So I think it will be a very James Gunn movie. I have a little bit of faith in that one, but beyond that, all this other shit, I could give a fuck's less now.
Okay, so real quick, the last official end credit sequence before they say Kang will return. They didn't say Ant-Man will return. They said Kang will return. Is basically a sneak peek into Loki season 2, and we have Jonathan Majors in the most amazing 1800s getup, talking about time and whatever, and then Loki goes, "Oh shit, I know him. He almost destroyed the world. He was in fucking my first season," and Owen Wilson goes, "Wow." He's like, wow.
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 Mhm.
That
That's the
guy?
guy. Wow.
Wow.
Everybody, I think that's what most people were so excited for, was that Loki reveal at the end. I think I got the most cheers, but I mean, it's just a ad for Loki. There's nothing to add. It just shows that Jonathan Majors will probably be at Loki at some point. Another variant of Kang, or maybe it won't be Kang. I don't know, but it looks like at some point Loki and Owen Wilson will be going to the 1800s, and there'll be a TV series in sometime in the future of 2023. And you guys have anything to say on it at all?
I did. I really enjoyed Loki, but I like Tom Hiddleston. I like the character Loki. I really like, what's his name? Owen
Wilson.
Owen Wilson.
Um,
Wow.
And I like time travel and sci-fi, so that kind of spoke to me. But so yeah, I mean, I wasn't like, holy shit, the ending, it's Loki. I was just like, okay, cool. I'd been told that going into this, the bylines I'd seen was the movie was not very good, but the end credit scenes were like epic of epicness, like the best end credit scenes. Seriously, people are saying that they are saying that they're the best end credit scenes Marvel has had in like a real long time.
They say that every fucking
Thank
movie.
you. Yes. Every fucking
movie.
time they say that, which you think people will catch on eventually when they're saying, well, the movie's all right, but the end credit scenes are great.
That's why you don't ever listen to early tweets about movies like this, because 999% of the time they're like, oh, it's the greatest movie ever, and you go see it, it's like, what the fuck? I don't. Okay.
Plus, those people
cool.
are excited to see a movie early, and also they're told, if you're going to say anything, don't say anything negative. Is my understanding.
Yeah.
I've heard that, if you say negative, like truly negative shit, they're like, you'll never see one again.
I said on my Facebook, I said on Facebook the day the last Thor movie came out that it was boring, and some guy like went on a rant in the comments about how I was spoiling the movie and all that, and then he blocked me.
Wow.
Because you said
and
it was
I was
boring?
like, yeah, that's all I said. All I said was, I said snore. I said Thor snore. And he's like, way to spoil everything.
Oh,
Everything? I mean, there wasn't much in that movie, so I guess maybe
like,
you kind of did. Kind of like this one. That's another good complaint I got about this movie. What the fuck? We're doing a spoiler cast. Is there really anything to spoil in this movie? Nothing really happens.
Yeah.
Everything that happens in the movie's in the trailer.
Thank you.
Between
If
all
you've
the
seen the trailer,
trailers.
you've seen the movie.
Well, we managed to get like 2 hours of spoiler talk out of it, so there must be something to spoil.
Oh, dude, I
It's the same length as the movie.
I could talk about this
Exactly.
flashlight for 2 hours. Come on now. That's why your podcast, Twilight Zone
King's
podcast,
alive.
I think they were like 10 minutes long before I got on.
No,
that's because I was the only one talking then.
And now I talk so much.
Oh shit!
Now it's 3 hours.
No, actually, our shortest episode was with you, Jacob. It was like a few episodes ago.
Yeah, but that's because you had to cut out everything I said.
That's true. You were going on a rant about, I don't know, the state of the economy.
The actual recording was probably 5 hours
long. Anyways, so closing thoughts. Rob, once again, I'll start with you. What was just anything closing thoughts you want to talk about?
King's alive. He's in 1885, but he's alive.
Agreed.
Did the Western Union give him a letter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it in the rainstorm?
So I'm just waiting for the Rick and Morty Kang, the Citadel of Kangs, to come in the future to fight Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Girl Hawkeye, I forgot what her name was, Echo, and Ironheart in the next Avengers movie.
Oh, that'll be
Ironheart.
one scene. Don't worry.
Samus Aran.
We're just gonna start throwing every female character in there. We're just gonna throw in Zelda and
she did.
Princess
She looked
Peach.
like Samus in Wakanda always or forever, whatever. She
Wakanda
looked like
Forever.
She did. She looked like freaking Samus from Metroid.
Yeah, all she needs is like a floating creature.
Anybody who's like a big Marvel fan is probably gonna go see this movie in the theater anyway.
Watch
but
Shazam.
if you're a person who you don't know whether you want to see it, or you don't see a lot of Marvel movies, or you just occasionally see it, I would say it's something that you can wait until it comes on Disney Plus. It may actually look better on a smaller TV than it does on a big screen.
What about you, Triv?
I'll get back to you on that. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Jacob.
I don't know what else to say about it. It's not worth seeing in theaters, and it is just once again it's a disappointment. It's not terrible. It's not one of the worst. It's not the worst of the since. I know this is Phase 5, but it's not the worst since Endgame by far. I mean, it's bearable, and I mean, I was reasonably entertained, but it is like I retained none of. Next week, you ask me about this movie, and I'll be like, "What?" I mean, it's just in one out the other. Jonathan Majors was good. Some of that he was in, he was just there and he was yelling. But when he was actually acting, he was good. He was a menacing presence. I could see him being a good villain later on. I've heard some people liken this to, they're trying to like make it sound good by saying this is a great start. This is like an opening to another movie. Well, then why did you make this fucking movie? A movie needs to stand on its own. If it can't stand on its own, then it doesn't count. Look at the Lord of the Rings movies. Yes, there's 3 of them. Granted, you need the other ones to like complete the story, but you can watch each one. They have acts, they have an interesting story and characters. They stand on their own, and the other ones complement them and move the story forward. And I'd be okay with if this one worked into another movie. All Marvel movies do. There's nothing worth seeing in this movie, really. It's worth checking out when it like Rob said, when it comes on Disney Plus. If you ain't got nothing else to do that night, sure, check it out on a streaming platform.
For my concluding thoughts, hashtag don't be a dick and hashtag not my M.O.D.O.K. So we'll leave it at that. Anyways,
M.O.D.O.K could have been cool though, man. I see what you're saying now.
It could have
I
been
see what
cool.
you're saying. Like I see that character and the things I said earlier about, making him a more serious character. He could have been a cool character in this movie and given this movie some more character, but nope, he's just fucking comic relief.
Yep. So, all right. We've been talking a long time. I think almost 2 hours now. I'll probably find a way to cut it down to 40 minutes. I think we'll see. Anyways, Jacob, Triv, Rob, thank you for coming on to talk spoilers for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. A lot to talk about. Hopefully, maybe you'll like it better than we did. I don't know. We'll see. But Rob, I'll start with you. You have content on your YouTube channel that I've talked about before, but it's awesome. Where can they find that at?
You can just search my name, Robert Dodrill, or youtube.com/Robert Dodrill, and you can find that on there. I'm sure there'll be in the description how to spell the last name.
Yes, and watch his recent short, Beyond the Fall. Is that what it's called? Did I mess that up?
Beyond the Fall Off,
Well,
which is a lighting. It's a lighting term. Beyond the Fall Off.
I think I know that. I think I may have learned that term in
film school.
Yeah. Rob always throwing in the references there. So, Triv, you as well. I know you have a channel. I know you post videos as well. Sometimes they're crazy movies you watch, but where can they find that at?
You can find me here on YouTube at Trivial Theater. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Trivial Theater.
And awesome. So yeah, definitely check out her videos as well. Jacob, YouTube, right? No,
YouTube.
Where can they find your content at? I know you do videos as well.
I do videos. Jacob Anders reviews on YouTube and some other stuff forthcoming. Right now, that's about it. I'm doing 1 or 2 videos a week. I had to skip a week, had a kid. But I'll be doing I might do a video of this movie. I don't know. I said a lot already. But I have another one I will be doing for another animated character that people know that's a different take on, that will be coming up probably around the time this airs over the next few days. But yeah, check me out on YouTube, Jacob Anders Reviews, and I do stuff on Twitter too.
Awesome. And you can find me, Movie Emporium. Comment below what you think of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. What was your favorite part? What was your least favorite part? All that good stuff. But for myself, Triv, Jacob, and Rob, we'll see you guys next in the whatever video I do next. Peace out, guys. All right.